Every day I keep it on a prayer. Do it on 100 ways. Do it every day. Every day I keep it on a prayer. Do it 100 ways. Do it every day. Every day I'm on my knees. Tell him Father what I need.
Hello, hi. Welcome back to a special episode of Let's Talk. And today I have a very special guest with me as we're going to be wrapping up Women's Month. We have a phenomenal woman with us, a phenomenal guest, and a phenomenal student activist. She goes by the name of Aphile Amanzima Mazibuko.
Hello, hi.
Hello, hi.
Are you good?
Okay, how are you?
I'm alright.
Can you extend my introduction of you?
I think you did well. I was just worried about my name, that you wouldn't say my full name. Everyone always says Aphile, but yeah, you did well. Student activist, student leader, primeship currently. Yeah, you did well. We'll stick to those accolades for now. You did well.
So, where are you from?
I'm from KZN, KwaZulu Natal. In let's say, because Bloem people, I think they have a problem with Durban and KZN. Huh?
Who is Bloom people when you say
Like people that I found here, people that are from Bloemfontein that ask me where I'm from. I think they always have a problem. Because if you just say you're from KZN, they think everyone's from Durban. You understand? Like there's always that miss.
Where are you from in KZN? That's
I'm from Durban.
Durban.
Yes.
Beaches.
Yes. Yes.
So how was it like growing up?
Oh my word, it was such a great experience. I did not leave my city because I was like unhappy with, the environment, or I was tired. I actually just wanted a different scenery, but it was such a great experience. I've got lovely memories. My town is the one.
Yeah, obviously you have beaches. You say it's not the one. So
Yeah.
upbringing, how was school especially? Like what were you doing in school?
Yo, I was a kid that always did a lot. So from primary school, I always wanted to do different things. Even from preschool. Preschool, I did karate, I did swimming. Believe it or not, I was always that child for my parents. There's like 5 of us. So I'm that child that gives them like a headache. But yeah, from primary school, I was always active, plays. We did a musical this time and it was even recorded. I joined that. But I was also like quite a mischievous child because as Zulu we say "Ungahlaliseki," like you're not in one place. But yeah, but I really, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, but I was a very active child, and then in high school, I was very active in leadership. I think that's when it was, the highlight. And I joined an NGO in Durban called the Durban Youth Council. So it consists of students from all over Durban from grade 11. Yeah, you start end of grade 10 throughout grade 11. You guys come together. It's a fully youth run organization. So we did things ourselves. We organized projects around Durban. We did a whole lot of charity work. During the weekends or holidays, we always had things to do. And yeah, I connected with so many people. In fact, um, RC culture from Bears. Kumete, Unipo. Yes, he was. Yes, Kof CFM. He was in the Durban Youth Council with me. That's how I met him. Actually, I met him through that organization. And yeah, in high school, I did a whole lot of things. I was head of grade 12. I did like a lot of plays. I did a whole lot of organizational stuff, organizing things. Like I was very active. There are a whole lot of things that I did, but I enjoyed myself because I got to really, know myself, like push myself. And yeah, you get a sense of, I don't know, freedom because you're very creative at that part. Because I remember in matric, I started this talk thing. Like every Friday at break, people would come, and it was mostly about Black conscious, And interestingly enough, in my school, political talks weren't really, you know, promoted. But I had that, I think it was called the Tea Talk or something, but something like that. My sister says that they're still carrying on with it, actually. But yeah, so I did a whole lot of things. No.
So when do you realize that you can be the one leading the pack? Where do you realize? Is it before you came here, or while you were still working with people, did you realize, okay, actually I can be the one
Yeah.
who takes the front seat and drives the car?
I've always known that I have certain characteristics that are very assertive and dominant, even when I'm not trying to be. So with exposing myself, and I'd really, to anyone who's maybe interested in like leadership or student activism, that's how you get to know yourself, is through exposure. And I think I did so many different things, not just student leadership. You'd also challenge yourself, do like a drama, present, host talks, and you get different experiences. So by exposing myself to different things, like 1 minute I'll be planning, a fashion show, the next minute I'll be planning a talk, the next minute it'll be more professional and you leading now. So then you really get to see your characteristics and what is dominant and what stands out. And it usually happened that whenever I would do something, I'd want to take the lead. Like automatically, I'd want to fix things. I'd want to, that's my nature. And I think I realized then. I probably realized in end of primary that I've got certain leadership skills. I don't know about your high school or primary school, but they even rate you with leadership in my thing. And my father always used to say, what leadership? Because in primary school, you're not expecting anything, but for leadership I always used to get an A in my school. And I think when I assess that, even in a setting of, okay, you are playing or you guys have a project at school, I'd be the first to say, okay, so what are we doing? You can do that. I can. It's like from the smallest of things. And then in high school where it was, really clear. And then I embraced it, and I think it was shaped by all the things that I was doing. Yeah, outside of school.
Where was the boys? Where was our boys during all this time when they're looking at you?
I went to an all-girls school. So you would expect that I didn't interact with a lot of boys, but I did, because I remember I did a whole lot of things around Durban, so different schools, and then I don't know. Sometimes when you are that young, boys don't like a girl that is too much. You can come across as too much. Now you're doing everything. You're ahead of your peers. But yeah, they were there. Some rocked me. Then I realized that nah, this is not for me. But yeah, so, no, yeah,
Yeah, those are the effects, the rocks.
yeah. No, some rocked me, but it's cool now.
Okay, and then fast forward, you come into a university space.
Yes.
What is it that you leave out? What is it that you put in terms of appeal and rebranding and starting afresh? Because now you are starting to build a foundation that is going to represent you more than anything.
Yeah, that's a great question, because when I came here, it was very intentional. When I applied, I didn't tell my parents. I actually told my grandfather. I was very close to my grandfather. I used his details. And then when I got accepted, I provisionally accepted. I went to my parents. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to Bloemfontein, And they were like, what? Like when? How? But I already had an idea from Matric 2018. I already had an idea that what do I really want to achieve, at the University of the Free State. And a lot of people didn't understand my decision, like, and from my siblings, I was the first one to actually say, okay, you know what, I'm leaving home, So it was like quite a shock to some. But the plan was to get here and make a name for myself. I remember when we were driving here for the first time, and I looked around and I said, I can't leave here without making an impact somehow. That was the first day that I came here. So when it comes to rebranding, I was very intentional. So any opportunity in a resident space that was open, I challenged myself. That year I had a theme of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. That was my theme for 2019. And I really pushed myself in things that the residents committee would say, hey, there's this, don't you want to join? I'd be there. I'd really pushed myself because I think that's how you also get to interact with people. And I was very excited to meet people from different areas, learn about them. They get to learn about me, but also to continue to grow myself in the space of the university. So that was my aim. And I did that through residence life, which, contributed a whole lot to who I am today. There are a whole lot of challenges in residences, yeah, and I also did that through exposure. You go to people. Thing is, like, when people see you now and they say, oh, you've done so much, please help me out, it doesn't just stop there. You also have to take the initiative. Like, I bothered a whole lot of people who are SRC members now, some of them. I went into spaces where I was very uncomfortable. I think in my first day, there's a time where I sat in a SASCO meeting and I was like, what the hell is going on? But like, those are the things that build you. Those are the things where you get to see the people, in action. And yeah, and so far I think I've managed to do what I've came here for.
When do you think you reached the peak of rebranding yourself and you say, this is where I turn and now I have rebranded myself, now I'm putting myself out there? Which moment do you think at this moment, now I'm appealing and I can start
Yeah.
now, putting myself out there?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, everyone has a purpose. I think we all, when you're born, when you grow up, we're all trying to find ourselves. Where do we belong? Who do we belong with? And it's really, you should be really so grateful when you actually have found your purpose as a person. So for me, my peak, I think it was last year. Lockdown, you think a lot, you reflect, okay, am I where I want to be? You sort of think of your fears, like, okay, do I really, really think I can run for Prime? I know I've been preparing it for from first year, but when I was at home, I was like, okay, so what am I doing? What do I bring to the table? What have I done in my residence? Can they trust me? And you do a whole lot of praying. I'm a spiritual person. You do a whole lot of praying, do a whole lot of consulting with your parents. And I think that's when I reached my peak. It was quiet. It was just me and my thoughts and my ambitions, and my plans. And I started planning, and I started really knowing what my purpose was. So I'd say for me that it was last year, yeah, before I came back to campus and I was elected as Prime of Roosmaryn.
Was this during the time of Controversial Tuesday?
Yes, around those times. It was actually like a few weeks before Controversial Tuesday, a few months before Controversial Tuesday, because you would remember that we went home March. We didn't know what was happening, so we were all for like a couple of weeks and a month or so. I think for the whole of April, we were all like, what's going to happen? I think only in May you start thinking, okay, how can I continue with life? How can I, contribute more? How can I continue to lead at home? And that's when the Controversial Tuesday came up, when Mpho reached out to me and said, look, you've been doing Controversial Tuesday ever since you stepped foot in Roosmaryn, when you're an IFCOM chairperson helping out Naomi carry out her vision, who was my prime. So how about, we work together, you assist me, and we come up with topics. There was a whole lot of planning that goes into it, whole lot of contacting speakers, key university speakers. We had HRA there, we had protection services, it's still on our House Roosmaryn page. And yeah, and we got to a point where we were like, you know what, let's also equip others. So we got first years on it as well. We trained them from home. But yeah, it was at that time where I was actually, doing something different. Yeah.
What was your best controversial Tuesday moment?
I think everyone knows. I think everyone knows. My best one was really with our previous SRC president, Ukatleho, sports placer. Yeah, no, I had so much fun. And I was so nervous because I'm thinking, the last time people really interacted with you, they knew you as a first year from Roosmaryn, fine, FCOM chair, right? And then you get elected as a mentor, but you don't really get to work thoroughly on campus to interact with people. Here are you now, and it's one of the interviews, like, really after, everyone going home. So everyone wants to hear from the president. Everyone wants to hear what's going on. And it was such a nerve-wracking experience because you're like, I need to ask the right answers, right? So that people get answers. Because what we're trying to do is for it to be very informative. Because you're at home, you need to know what's happening. Because not knowing what was happening caused a lot of anxiety for a lot of people, right? So yeah, like it was quite a lot. But then when he came on with those shades, I think it calmed me down a bit, and I really had fun with it. And yeah, it was a great interview.
For those who don't know, SRC president, former SRC president,
Yeah.
went on controversial Tuesdays this one time, and then as soon as he logged in, shades on. No, Men in Black.
Huge shades. It's still on the House Roosmaryn page, though.
If you
Yeah.
want to catch that, just go on House Roosmaryn Instagram page.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So let's fast forward. For people who don't know, RC elections come with a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, backstabbing also.
Yeah. Are for you. Yeah.
Now, when you run, it's different now.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Yo. Like I said, I knew from my first year that I'm going to run, and I'm going to run for primeship, and I started preparing then. Hence, in my second year, I joined the EC of the Vice President, Mr. Mboweni. He was on your show also recently. So there were a lot of things that I was doing that I was going to contribute because I didn't want to run and I'm not informed. I don't know the processes of campus. I don't know the systems. So I really exposed myself. So in terms of preparing, I was very prepared, right? But now comes the actual election process. And I was very nervous. Here I am now from a mentor. I wasn't a head mentor, I took the decision that, okay, I don't want to, nominate myself or avail myself for head mentor or vice head mentor because the second year of the institution, I told myself that, no, I want to expose myself to being led, right? Because fine, in first year I did lead, but now I need to be led and I need to go out to campus and expose myself, So here I am coming from a mentor. The previous primes were head mentors, and things like that. But Mpo was a mentor as well. So here I am, and right, I'm running against the previous vice prime of the house, So there were a lot of emotions and there were a lot of things that were going on. And again, we're the first ones to go through this virtual presentation of your manifesto, virtual circus, and now people have to vote electronically, right? It was a mess that night. Votes were spoiled. Like the ballot was released before we could even finish the circus. How that happened, I don't know. Some names were there, some names weren't there, so things didn't make sense. Some names appeared everywhere, and I remember sitting in Paul's room, and we were both so tired that the people that were in her room, the prime's room, they left us there. And I think I woke up in the AMs, and she was holding a teddy bear. She's gonna kill me for this, but she was holding a teddy bear. Because she was so drained, because she really just wanted everything to go well. And I remember she was holding a teddy bear, and the lights were on, and I remember waking up, and I was holding her blanket, and we were just sleeping in her room, because everything was a lot, and everything was falling apart, but they were looking to her to fix it, right? And I also didn't know what to do, but it was a very stressful and, very strenuous time, in our residence. People were upset, who's now ruining the election process. Some people were very emotional. So the spirits were high, spirits were high. But yeah, eventually everything pulled through, and yeah. But the process wasn't a nice one. Yeah.
Would you consider going for the SRC?
Yes, I will.
You will.
I can't be, that's the thing, I can't be indecisive about such things. I can't sit here and say I'll think about it when I know I'm not going to lie.
Because I feel like it's very important, especially for people who are looking outside in, and also people who know you personally. They know that, if not in the top 5, they might not be there.
To be the number one. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who know my character traits know how confident I am. And I think there's a huge gap on this campus, we conform too much. We allow ourselves to conform. We literally have nothing to lose. So if you are going to be out there, if you are going to shoot for the stars, aim for number 1. Like, you have nothing to lose. And I think we're very young. So when you know your purpose, like I said in the beginning of our interview, my purpose is to serve. And I was at my peak, and I've prayed a lot about a lot of things, and I know what I'm here for. And for me, it's not just about the now. For me, this is my career. That's what I always tell my team, that I'm not just leading for, just leading, just the title. Then next year I'll be in an office and then I'll never lead again. For me, it's a lifetime thing, so I really take it seriously. And when you see the opportunity to rise for your people and to assist your people, you should take it.
Yeah, because I think we're at a time where students are confused, students are tired,
they're angry, they're uncertain.
We can't be speaking ill of people, but at the same time, if you are my leader, you need to be
accountable.
I need to see you. I need to know if things are not going well. I need to know if things are
going well.
And at this current stage, we feel like we don't see if things are okay with them, or if things are not okay with them, and it's causing a lot of disturbance in the student population.
Yeah.
And it's not okay, because we are the ones who go out there and vote.
Yeah. Look, I think because also this year was really hard, it was hard on everyone. I think we all had to deal with our own issues. We're still students. Then you're a student leader. You would understand being a student leader is nothing that's easy. But then also, no one forced you to be a student leader. So you can't also make it an excuse. But what I can say is, when there's a disconnect, we are people of interactions. We're social people. We're human beings, When there's a disconnect, because COVID did just that, there's a disconnect. As leaders, I think we really need to make sure that we communicate with our students, no matter what it takes, because even if things aren't going well, sometimes, and I've experienced this before, sometimes it's very much beneficial for you to go to your people and tell them that, look, I'm not okay. Things are not going well, but we're working on it. I don't think people would have like a backlash so much, because they can see you being humane. And I think COVID took out that humane element. But as leaders now, who want to lead now, we really need to be innovative and creative. So you need to come up with ways to show your students that, look, we are here. And I think last year, when majority of our students were at home, I think we achieved that, to say that, okay, every Tuesday, even though you know that you are at home and maybe there's no house meeting, but every Tuesday you're going to see a representative of Roosmaryn who's going to bring forth maybe the SRC on campus to tell you that your space is safe. That gives you as a student that security to say that, okay, someone is still working for me. But if you don't see that, your anger starts building up and you get frustrated, because the only thing that you are seeing is your private accommodation not being handled, right? You are seeing, I think I saw the other day on Kofsi Press, NAS faculty were really also, majority of them, expressing how most of them experience exclusion, academic exclusion, and they feel like they're not represented. I really don't think for the entire year that they didn't sit in meetings and speak for them, but students didn't see that. Students didn't hear that. So when students don't know, it builds a whole lot of tension and frustration that we're seeing now. But for us, it's not to, as you said, it's not to speak ill of people, is to learn from them, because we also are student leaders, and someone may come here and say, don't tell me about Aphile, she got 1, 2, 3 wrong. I think it's just for us to learn from them. And
because funny thing is, you can't dictate how somebody should run a term. But as a person who's being led by the person, you need to be able to see,
if something is not,
for you to know, okay, Aphile is not available now. That means there's something wrong maybe with management. There's something wrong that our maybe structure is dealing with. As the person who's being led by Aphile, I need to be able to see or be able to know from Aphile when it concerns me. Not everything, but if it concerns me as a constituent,
I need to know.
I need to be able to know that you are not being able to pay for, you're not able to raise private accommodation
because of 1, 2, and 3. I think the problem that happened, there was a whole lot of victimization, right? When you're leading people, yes, you need to be honest, but the people that put you in that position, they can't be the ones who are carrying you. You need to carry them, because you promised that you're going to carry them. And I think beginning of the term, we were all really just, carrying one another. There were court cases, there were Save Our SRC members, there were, there wasn't, so we're coming from registration. You know how registration gets in the University of the Free State, where students are hungry, stressed, anxious, some of them homeless. So we're coming from that. Straight after that, it's like people getting arrested, allegations, suspensions. Do you understand? Now the focus is not on the students. We're not trying to analyze the aftermath that the students faced. We're not asking Wuti, okay, you got registered, do you have a place to stay? Okay, was your contract and your private accommodation sorted out? There was no aftermath. The aftermath, if you remember quite clearly, was court cases. Now the same students who are hungry and they still, some of them weren't still registered at that time also, are going to support their leaders. Do you understand? They were now there's that period of, okay, our leaders need our help, our leaders, people are, and before you know it, it's done. And I think if I analyze it, that's what happened. And now that we are all okay, and we are thinking, we're seeing all of our problems, and we're like, yeah, no, man, we're frustrated. We go to the Kofi Press page, we, say our frustrations. You did not do anything for us, because the people that you promised to lead are now the people that have to carry you through your term. And I think that was maybe one of the first things that led to the situation we are in now.
Yeah, because I think for students, if you're gonna if you're not gonna serve me, at least fail by being in front of me the whole time. You might not be doing well.
I think Kheleke did that well. Sorry to cut you. I think Kheleke, there are even videos where, even if you see that, okay, maybe this might not be attainable because our university protection services will come now. The red, what do they call themselves? Ants will be there now. But you see him there. And I think you get a sort of security to say he was there, he was, now that it's different, it's even harder because with COVID is around, but you at least that, okay, Aphile failed doing 1, 2, and 3. Aphile failed attempting to do 1, 2, and 3 for me. Yeah, he actually calls, yeah.
We might not be sure, or we might be sure what's happening in his office, but we see that the person is doing something somewhere.
And is very
easy to point out
active.
people and saying you are not doing what, you are not doing what. But we need to be able to see you and say that this person is accessible.
Yeah. Vus is very accessible. He's one of, the leaders that I think I would say he gets things done in the way that he tries as well. Because I understand that this year wasn't easy on anyone. But I remember also we had an incident in our residence. Approach is also another thing, because we're all student leaders. And I remember how he had called me to say, okay, what is happening? He gives you that space to say, okay, Primeship, what is happening? How can I assist? Should there be any progressment on that issue, you can contact me or whatever, and I'll contact you as well. It's not a thing of you suck at your job, let me just move. So yeah, he's been very, very active in certain things that he didn't need to be, but yeah.
Yeah. So let's let's leave this one for a while. Let's say you, for example, like you say, you have ambitions to make it to the SRC.
Yeah.
What would your ideal team be able to accomplish during your time?
I think, first of all, is to create a virtual space, an accessible virtual space. Working in the SRC office as an EC member, chairperson for Mboweni, you understand that you and your EC, you and your office had that access with the people, right? So you could walk into the SRC building, say what your problem is, walk out there maybe having been helped. But now I have a student in Durban who's frustrated, right? Emails are not going through. Your personal cell, how many house members text you in a day? So sometimes you may miss those messages. It happens. So for my team, I think at the end of the year, for us to create a virtual space where you can see grievances all the time, people can log in, there's a review, there's that constant contact with people. Because when you're leading them, you can't lead them without knowing the progress, number one, or the initial problem in the first place. You need to trace that, you need to track that, you need to be consistent. And I think creating a system, even for the SRC members that will come after, is very much essential in this university, because there are so many things to do. I could name so many. But here, what I've noticed and researched about is that it's not necessarily the people's problem now. It's a system. You need to create a system. If you're saying that maybe private accommodation is a problem, we need to create a system for students. And you solve the system, then you know that every year this is what's supposed to happen, and proper planning as well. So yeah, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I think you already have something like that in the pipeline, because we spoke about prime time.
Yes.
Just align it to that.
Prime time is a new segment that is for the students, the student solutions. It's something that we've been working on for a while now. And I actually started my first with my house. You can't go out there and say you want to lead and then you leave your house like that. You didn't train them, you didn't equip them, you just leave and then you're an SRC member. So the first session was focused on my house and leadership. It's a series of events. So it's separated into two branches. Residence being my own residence. And the second part is where now we are going to sit with students, number one, to hear out the cries, the grievances, right? Because you can't say you want to lead, like a whole campus, or you want to lead students without knowing what really is the problem. And you can't really, write up a manifesto without consulting with your students, because, you don't know what they want. So prime time will really be that, tackling issues, coming up with solutions before you even run or before you even are elected, so that by the time you get there you are overly prepared. And you'd rather fail or be in that position knowing that you were prepared from months ago, instead of just going to your people, getting there uhambe ngolayini and unlayini unyamalale. Like it's doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, I hear you. For the future,
Yeah.
what can we expect? I know this was supposed to be longer, but I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah. For the future, I'd say that leading, I haven't stopped. I'm not about to stop. Purposefully, genuinely, as I've mentioned. But then also going forth, I'd like to expose myself to other, areas. Now this is the time where, I need to network properly. So NGOs, that may come up in a few, in a year or so, and my own online platform as a leader as well. And yeah, I'll keep it at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to. We're not gonna play that game.
Which game? Who gets to go?
Yeah, we're not gonna play that game. But yeah, we'd like to, wish you well, and we'd like you to know that it's attainable. Whatever you
Yeah.
plan, we already know your greatness. Some of us already know what you're capable of. We are those people that will always support you because we know where the train is going.
Yeah.
What the vision is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, this Women's Month also, it's very important to have somebody that we look up to.
Yeah.
And not only as, guys or anything, but as a society.
Yeah.
We look up to and we say, this is one of the few people that know how to touch us and know how to speak to us. And I'd like to say, in conclusion, happy Women's Month.
Yeah.
As we conclude, every day is Women's Day. We appreciate you. We love you. And that is it from our side. Let's talk. Mosia, Kheleke. Catch you next time. Let's talk.
Thank you.
Hello, hi.
Tell him Father what I need. Tell him Father what I need. Every day I keep it on the prayer. Do it on the highway. Do it every day. Keep it on the skate. Every day I keep it on the prayer.
Put it on God. Shoot the devil on his face. Keep it 100, I'm keeping the faith. I'm right on my knees, then right I be praying. Counting my blessings, I don't lose count. God is good and it's all of the time. He never forsakes, I'll never betray. Put it on tray when the food is okay. The family eats, gap in your Uber, jack on the streets. I'll never forget when we came up. Backyard shed, we were sleepless.